Hi, I'm Shelley Maurer,
And I'm Cher Emmerich. Welcome to Life Lessons from Pickleball,
where we engage with pickleball players from around the world about life on and off the court.
Thanks for joining us. Welcome, everyone, to Life Lessons from Pickleball. Today, we are so happy to have with us Mike Branon. Mike, you have lived one of the most intentional and fascinating paths we've come across. At 40, you stepped away from a very successful business career to go find what makes life worth living. And that quest led you into nonprofit work, teaching high school, launching a microbrewery, becoming a massage therapist, and eventually into a late life love affair with pickleball.
And that love affair has turned into something truly special. You're now the best-selling author of Pickleball and the Art of Living and the Joy of Pickleball, which has become a guide for senior players everywhere who want to play better, feel better, and live with more meaning.
And being seniors ourselves, what we love about your work is that you don't just talk about shots and strategy, you talk about joy, connection, aging well, gratitude, and how the way we show up on the court reflects how we show up in life.
Mike, before we dive into your philosophy and the life lessons woven through your writing, take us back. What was happening in your life when you started playing pickleball?
Well, it's first of all, thank you for that nice introduction. I wish you guys could just follow me around and introduce me to people. That was pretty good. um, but what led me to it was complete chance. I was like most people, I was getting my oil changed, and instead of sitting around the place and looking at the reruns on TV or whatever, I decided to go for a run. And on my run, I ended up near a gym that I used to play basketball at. With basketball was my first love, and I ran inside just to kind of relive old times. And there was all these people playing this very strange game. And to let you know how long ago, it was wooden paddles. Yeah, it was the local senior center, and I was watching. It probably took about 15 seconds for them to notice me and invite me to play with them. So that's just one more example of how welcoming people are in this world. And so I started and I never stopped. And that was probably about 10 years ago. And it's been a great ride.
So, basketball was your first love. Is it still a part of your life?
No, I actually retired from basketball at age 50 after having my face rearranged too many times, and because I that's one you can never play basketball halfway, and so I finally reached that point where I said I better find myself a more gentlemanly pursuit in my elder years. So I went from there. I went to tennis, and from there I went to pickleball.
And pickleball is not necessarily a gentle sport, but you're not getting your face rearranged unless you get tagged by the ball, right?
Yeah. I have taken some face shots before, as most people have who play it at my level. You're going to get hit some, but it definitely not quite as intense as basketball, and sure a heck of a lot more enjoyable and less hardcore. Let me put it that way. The people I
And
play with, I love to play with.
oh, that's so cool. You have changed careers so many times. You have all these chapters in your life. How has the shifting and changing of your own career path been? Has it influenced at all the way you experience pickleball?
It really has. It really almost starts from the time I was a kid, Navy brat, actually Navy
Oh,
and Marines. So
oh.
we were moving all over the place. I can't remember how many schools I went to by the time I got to high school, but you had to learn to adjust and be flexible and be resilient. And those are all qualities I think that helped me moving along. And so as I went on in life. Some people call it ADHD. I call it, kind of looking around and looking what your options are. But I'm a very project-driven person, and so when I throw myself into something, I really try to throw myself into it completely. And then if something else comes up, I go that direction. I try not to get caught up in momentum. And the same thing applies for the pickleball listeners out there, is that sometimes you play at a certain place or with a certain group, and that's great. I think it's wonderful to have friends, but always be looking for new opportunities, because you never know where that might take you.
Oh, I really like that. Yeah. And I was thinking, I feel like all of it, we all have that in common where you said we look for something deeper. We all go and play pickleball, and here you've written 2 books and we're doing a podcast, so
Kindred spirits, I think.
yeah, yeah, that's something that we share.
For sure.
In Pickleball and the Art of Living, you use pickleball as a metaphor for how to live well, right? Can
Yes.
you share the first moment? When did you first realize that about pickleball, that it held deeper lessons?
Well, like with a lot of things in life, it was completely accidental. The book was born on a cruise that in the middle of the South Pacific. We happened to be, it was in February of 2020, and COVID broke out 2 days after we got on the ship.
Oh,
It was supposed to be a 21-day cruise and to go to all these incredible places, and it turned out we ended up spending 20 some days zigzagging across the Pacific trying to find a country that would let us off the ship. And so I was about, day 5 or 6 into this thing, and I thought, well, I finished my workout at about 7:30 in the morning, and I got 2 options. I can try to do something constructive, or I could head to the bar. So I ended up doing both. No, I ended up writing the book. Went to the bar later, but so I started to write this book. I just thought, here I am, trapped in a nice place, of course, but trapped. And what can I do? So again, learning to think on your feet, I started writing. I thought, I'd always wanted to write a bit about life or my view on life, mainly for my kids or whoever might be interested. The book started out having it was completed in the 2 weeks before we even got off the ship,
oh,
and it
Wow.
had nothing, almost nothing whatsoever to do with pickleball. It was your generic, the art of living in the first book is more about, it was my idea on what makes a life well lived. I did have one paragraph in there where I used pickleball as an analogy. And when I got home, I sent my manuscript off to 2 people I know in the book business. They both said, "Hey, love your book. It's funny. It's great. Unfortunately, in this genre, you have to be famous first and then write your book. You can't write your book and do it the other way. That's kind of the way the world works." But each of them independently of each other said, that paragraph on pickleball, that could be your niche. I couldn't believe it. They both said the same thing. So the universe
Wow.
didn't have to tell me 3 times. So I completely tailored the book to pickleball and thought I can write all this stuff that's meaningful to me, but I equate it with something that, that gives people a lot of meaning as well. It shows you that anything that you do and you do well and you do with passion can inform your life and vice versa.
oh my gosh. I remember your ship being on the news every
It
night.
may, it may
I,
not have been our ship. There were many
oh,
out there actually. We were keeping track
oh,
of them on the internet. But the fortunate thing is our ship did not have people that were sick. They just
oh,
nobody would let us off. And
oh,
the ship, the people on the ship kind of divided into 2 camps. One was abject panic, and the other one was, hey, we're on a ship in the middle of the Pacific. Let's keep enjoying life. Let's connect. Let's support each other. So it was a very interesting study in psychology, which is a much longer story than we have today. But it was very interesting, and the book was born from it.
that's very cool. And I love how you utilized your time. That alone is a wonderful model for us. When you're
Mhm.
stuck, there's nothing else you can do. How do you want to make this a meaningful experience and not just blow it, go get drunk every night and try to pretend like it's not happening,
Because that
right?
would have been easy.
Yes, that was an option, but it is funny how life turns out sometimes. I look back at my life and I think that some of the negative things that happened were I mean, it sounds trite. They were the best things that happened to me because it shook me out of my rut, my habit that wasn't working for me, and into something that was much more rewarding. So it's been that way all along, and I think a lot of people have that kind of story as well.
I do too. It's like positive thinking, and you have a term, positive dinking. Say more about that.
Yes. Yes, I was trying to think of a subtitle or a tagline for my first book, Pickleball and the Art of Living, and I think, well, that sounds like a self-help book, and there's that Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. Thinking rhymes with
Yeah.
dinking. I'm like, okay, we'll go with that. So the power of positive dinking is the tag, and a lot of people that take a quick glance at the book, they'll go, there's a theme here, the power of positive drinking, and then they So you know, it gets people on the line anyway,
Sells
but you
books.
know, yeah, but positive dinking is not a bad idea if you use, you know, substitute dinking for pickleball. The whole idea is if you play pickleball or do anything in life with that innate positivity,
Mm,
you attract so many great people. You just attract positivity if you put it out there. And uh, again, you know, I fight. Sometimes I kind of am self conscious about the idea of self help, but it's out there for a reason
you
because
bet.
there's a lot of truth to it, and
Mhm.
it's that common sense attitude, I think, that really makes you operate life on a deeper level.
You
Not
bet.
necessarily more serious, but just more a full experience.
In fact, before we got started, you mentioned that you listened to our episode with Anna Glotova from
Yes.
Ukraine. And you
Yes.
told us a really fun, very sweet story of your own experience. Can you share that?
Yeah, that episode really touched my heart, and while I have a second, I thank you guys for doing what you do because we're really on the same mission. It's
Yeah.
to help
Mhm.
people live better, more positive, more aware lives, more vibrant lives. And pickleball just happens to be our medium. And it turned
Mhm.
out to be that way with this woman I met. Her name's Nina, and I was going to the local courts to give lessons. I've been coaching for many years. And I saw her walking away, and she seemed a little sad, and I just said, "Hey, how's it going?" And she kind of stopped, and instead of just saying fine, she goes, "Well, I just played pickleball for the first time, and I that was not fun at all." I go, "I'm sorry." And so we started to talk a little bit, and she says, "Yeah, I'd never played before, so I just went out there and wanted to see how to play, and everyone else had experience, and I felt like they were just, you know, were not very welcoming." And I said, "Well, you know what it is that you can't." You can't use this one experience and color the whole world with that. Let me
Yeah.
tell you what, let's get together. Let me show you how to play the game and see what you think about it. Years later, she's one of my best friends,
Oh,
wonderful woman from Ukraine. So she reminds me a lot of that wonderful woman that you spoke to a couple of podcasts ago, who manages to live with a full and a broken heart at the same time. It's
Mm,
just so inspiring, and she's such a beautiful person, and I hope she doesn't mind me talking about her, but
not at all.
no, it just it lights me up to see how much you know, I engendered a spark of joy in her, and she has spread that to so many people. She and my wife play, which is great, you know, because my wife is another great pickleball story. She's your basic introvert CPA, you know, technical person, not sports minded at all. Took several years for her to finally, if I kind of like nudged her gently to get out there and try it, and now her life has just blossomed. She has so many great friends. They travel together, they play together. It's an incredible
isn't that great?
thing, whether it's Nina or my wife or so many other people that I've been able to coach or meet, and the same with you guys. I think that's a lot of our life's work right now. And I think
I agree.
that's there's a lot less noble things you can do in this world than that.
Indeed.
That is just the sweetest story. You know, we had
Yeah,
another guest that was a pickleball coach, Brian Ashworth, and his life lesson was you don't ever want to be the reason that someone never comes back to the pickleball court. And I
love
think
it.
about that all the time. And then here, that's I think of your story. Not only do I not want to be the reason, but I want to make sure that I help people like you did and make sure they feel welcome to come back because it is you meet the best people, just like your wife's story. It's just incredible.
It's a great thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so nice. It's very fulfilling. I think of the guys I'm going to go out there and play with here, and as soon as we finish with this. And you know, my best friend Rob Cameron is out there, and I know he's already out there hitting serves and for a half an hour ahead of time, and we're just going to have the best time. We're very competitive. But I'll guarantee you, ain't nobody laughs more than we do when we're on the court. I mean, we send goofy pictures and texts to each other. It's just a nonstop fun thing. So you kind of hit, you know how it is. You hit you check all those boxes. You know, competition, connection, laughter. It's just a fantastic thing. So
And you meet people that I don't know how I would have ever met them before, right? The different,
yes,
all different
yes,
walks of
yeah.
life, different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just incredible. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
even like, you know, I'm not always on a cruise ship, but I happen to be on one. We actually
Sounds like it.
Uh, 3 years after the fact, we finally got to try this cruise again, and we just came back from it about a month ago. So we did the South Pacific, and it was magical.
Oh,
Tahiti, Moorea, Bora Bora, all those areas,
oh,
and sure enough, on the ship, I ran into this one guy, and the conversation comes out, and he's so excited to play pickleball. He's sending me texts, and he got my second book, which is more of the instructional book. He sends me this text like 2 weeks later. I read the book and it worked, and he's on the gold medal stand at his pickleball club. He
Oh,
says, so it's
yay.
like yes, yes. So very very cool stuff out there.
so that's the joy of pickleball.
That's the joy of pickleball.
And so, what inspired you to write for those of us who are seniors?
Well, yes. The joy of pickleball. It was a follow up to the first book because the first book has a little bit of instruction at the end in the postscript, but I didn't want to throw off readers that I wanted to just find out more about life in general. So I was very judicious about not to just hit them over the head with too much pickleball. But of course, the people that loved the first book, who were pickleheads, said, "Okay, that's really nice. We're going to live a happy, wonderful,
Yay.
meaningful life." I want to beat the hell out of that couple that keeps crushing us and kind of moonwalks off the court. I want to take those people down. So we need more instruction. So I went ahead and wrote the second book for them, and I wrote it specifically for the senior player because I did some research, and as I said before about having a niche when you write,
Yeah.
there were no books out there at the time that specifically addressed the needs of the senior player. So not only is it instructive, but it has to do a lot with your health. The tagline again is, or the motive of the book is, play better, play healthier, play happier. And if you
Oh,
don't have all three of those, something's missing from your game. If you're not playing well enough, that you kind of know what you feel. I'm not really reaching my potential. I'm not, gosh, I want to be just a little bit better so I enjoy it more. But again, if you don't have your health, I mean, as we all know, it's so sad to sit there and watch everybody else playing because you didn't stretch, or you did something silly on the court you shouldn't have done, or you didn't have the proper core strength, or whatever it is, balance. So
yeah.
I talk a lot about that too, how important it is to have your body in good shape to play this game, to warm up properly, to stretch before and after. I've always been really big into the physical life, so that's something I actually knew about. And then the happier part, of course, ties it all together. If you're not having a good time, it doesn't matter how good you are, how great you feel physically. If you aren't having a good time, you're losing. So, and if you are, you're winning. And so that's what I gravitated towards. So all of those things are in the book, and it's wrapped up in the idea too. What means more as you get older? I refer to it in my final chapter as the autumn of your life, and it's a time when I could look it up real quick, but it's a time when the flowering is the leaves, the leaves of autumn.
Yes.
There's a blossoming that still, there's colors that still happen as you get older, and
Yes.
again, pickleball is one more avenue to realizing that joy that you can have of being alive and feeling community and just moving through your world. So that's why I wrote the book, and people seem to enjoy it.
Fantastic. And that's the mindset over mechanics concept?
Very much so. I mean, as we all know, if you're going to play pickleball, there's certain things. I have the pickleball 10 Commandments in one of my books that, just because a lot of times there's so much information out there. You can go on YouTube and have your head spinning in no
Yeah.
time. Half an hour videos on how to hit a slice backhand dink. And really, I try to, in my coaching and in my book, I try to consolidate that information so it's usable. I always felt like when you're going to do something well, you can really only hold one, maybe two concepts in your head at a time. So I
Yeah.
want to narrow it down, keep the focus on these really important fundamentals, and then when you do that, then your play tends to blossom from there because your foundation's in a good place.
So
Brilliant.
And
can
so
you,
and so
okay.
mindset is one of the biggest ones. I'm sorry. Mindset is so important.
No,
Again,
go
it
for
goes
it.
back to the playing happier. And that comes through with life too. If you have a growth mindset, you might even start a podcast. You might do all kinds of things in life.
Might write a
Might write a
book.
And
book while you're stuck on the
you,
ship.
you never know.
So, what are some small habits that make the biggest difference that you can share with us that we could start incorporating so we can have longevity
Small
on the court?
So that's what you say. Small habits. There's many headings for that. Small habits um, uh, in the way of playing better pickleball. Fundamentally, there's habits though, and also in the way of your mindset and your attitude. There's also the health part of it. So there's really each one of those has those underpinnings to it that you need to have. So which of those would you like to talk about?
What do you think's the most important
I think the
to
happiness
start
is the
with?
most important.
Okay.
That you come into it with exactly come in there with the right attitude and be excited to learn. I think that's one of the things sometimes it's so sad when people get older we fall into habits and we lose that spark of learning, that joy of learning. And
Yeah.
I see it when I was just with my grandkids a couple of weeks ago up in Northern California, and you see that when they learn something, just the eyes light up and the excitement, they can barely stand it. And that's what we want to keep as we get older. We want to keep that spark alive.
Yeah.
So pickleball is a wonderful laboratory for that because the old line that it's easy to learn but hard to master. Even me, I was literally out in my driveway half an hour before we came on here, and I set up a little court there for my wife and I to practice. And I was working on my two-handed backhand, which I'm trying to incorporate. There's always something to learn. So it's a big laboratory that you can enjoy yourself in and tinker and have a good time with.
Yeah.
What did you mean that the way we present ourselves on the court is the way we present ourselves in life? What does
Very
that?
much so. I think that you have to. There is with most people. Every now and then you'll run into someone who's very different off the court than they are on the court. They may be
Uh-huh.
super hyper competitive on the court and almost kind of a pain to be with, but off the court they might be the sweetest person you've ever seen. And
Mm.
I must say that usually applies to men that I've met because we tend to have a little. We're a little testosterone addled, but. But in general, I think that if you're a kind person off the court and you endeavor to bring that to the pickleball court, it's like you guys were saying earlier. You want to be the reason that people come back. You want to, as
Mhm.
I've said before, it's not so much people don't remember exactly how you played, but they remember who you were when you
Yeah.
played,
Yeah.
what your
And how they
character
felt
was.
about themselves playing with
Ex-
you. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing too with like the group I'm going to go out and play with now. We're just almost as excited when someone else hits a great shot. We go, man,
Right.
Yeah.
how'd you do? That's incredible. We're high-fiving and
Yep.
stuff. So it's a real positive experience I always talk about also find your tribe.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get into groups and after a certain amount of time, that may not be the right group for you anymore. You don't have to, write a big dramatic breakup letter, but, start looking for different groups that might fit you better, or just test the waters. I've found some of my best friends by being open to playing with new people, and it's just a blessing.
It really is. So
Mhm.
we have that same attitude. We just love celebrating each other's wonderful shots, and I
Nice.
I want to be you when I grow up, kind of thing, you know.
I love it. I love it.
Well, and
So
like
with
you
all this
said, oh,
amazing, oh, sorry, Shelley, go
no, I
ahead.
was
One
just going to
more.
say, like he said, when you walk away, you never remember the scores, but you remember the energy that you felt when you were on the court, right?
Exactly.
That's what you
Exactly.
Exactly.
remember.
Exactly right, and that's
Yeah.
one aspect I should have I did bring it up. I should have brought it up more in my book about older people playing pickleball. It's like sometimes we'll finish the game and I go, "Well, I got my butt kicked today, but it's a good thing. But come Tuesday, I'll have no idea what happened."
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
I
so we're
don't
gonna
even have
call
to
it.
wait till Tuesday.
We're
I'm
yes,
immediately unaware. Did
we're
I
gonna
win?
call
I
it
have no idea.
we're gonna call it a tie. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, you are a delight to talk to, Mike,
Oh,
honestly. And
likewise.
with all these amazing journeys you've been on and continue to be on, what are some life lessons you can share, either that you've learned in life? You shared some already, but you've learned in
Hmm.
life that you find yourself using on the court, or while you were on the court, you thought, whoa, that is one good life lesson. I'm going to apply that. So, what can you share?
Yeah, that's boy. There are so many things. One of the things that pops into my head immediately is the concept of habit versus willpower.
Hmm.
Um, so when you're living your life, and your habits can be good habits, they can be bad habits or whatever, but if you're relying on willpower, let's just use an example. Let's use health. If you know you should be eating better, you know you should be stretching and doing resistance training, especially as you get older, and you're relying on willpower to do that, you'll probably fail.
Mm.
It's hard. There's a lot of distractions in life. There's a lot of things, especially as we get older, telling us, that couch actually looks better than that gym floor right now. I think I'll just head over there. But if you enshrine virtuous habits into your life, if you say, you know what, I'm going to do resistance training on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. I'm going to do stretching every morning before I go downstairs, which is what I do. I
Mhm.
spend 10 minutes with my dog, and he waits patiently while I do my stretches. And I will not go downstairs in my house until I've done it. It's a
Mhm.
habit. And it's the same thing with your pickleball game strategically. If you find yourself saying, geez, I really should be more patient and just keep the ball low at their feet until I get a good opportunity. But, ooh, I'm thinking I'm gonna hit this one really hard. That's going to be fun. That's no, there's your willpower failing again. So you just have to get into these habits, whether it's health or strategy or even the idea of happiness. There's a book that I quote that's made an impact in my life. It's called Hardwiring Happiness,
Mm.
and I talk about it at length in one of my books. And the idea is that we are the descendants of people who evolved because they were always looking for trouble. Those are the ones that were on the lookout. Okay, what could get me? They're kind of neurotic, and we're descended from these people because the real happy, well-adjusted guy got eaten. He's just looking at the, whoa, what a pretty cloud, and of course, the saber-toothed tiger gets him. So as you see in
Okay.
life, we've got all of the news cycle, which completely inundates you with negativity because they know that gets your attention. And
Yeah.
so the idea of hardwiring happiness is to create new neural pathways. The concept is neuroplasticity, that you can literally create new pathways. So when you experience things in life, you experience them in a more positive light because you give that positivity a chance to breathe. You notice when things go right. And I think
Nice.
that's the thing that we often forget. You can drive
Yeah.
10,000 miles, you get back, you survived all this traffic and everything, and you're back home, and you notice, oh my gosh, there's a scratch on my car. And you can't wait to tell everybody how some son of a gun scratched your car. Take it easy. Look for the positive in life. Notice when the milk doesn't spill. I mean, on and on. There's a lot of,
Mhm.
and some people think that's Pollyannish, but I tell you what, it's at the risk of going on too much. I tend toward Buddhism a bit, and
Yeah.
there's a story about a woman who's entering a monastery, and she's got the grimmest look on her face. And finally, the woman who's running the monastery says, "Okay, here's your instructions. You need to smile all the time." And she's going, "That's ridiculous. Just do it." And by smiling all the time, she eventually, there was a habit. She started to see the world differently. Literally, that physical sensation changed the way she looked at things. So fake it till you make it. Stay positive. Look on the bright side. There's a lot of things that we can be sorrowful about in this world. It doesn't mean we ignore them, but there's a lot of beauty and love out there too. And let's focus on that and gravitate toward it because it's there for us.
Oh my
Oh, I
gosh, Mike.
love that.
What a lovely conclusion to this amazing conversation. That was so beautiful. And your books, we've got to get them out there. We'll have links for your books for people to buy. Oh my gosh. And Joy of Pickleball, especially for those of us who are seniors, and oh, The Art of Living. Oh my gosh, very, very cool. So how can people find you?
They can go to mikebranon.com, and it's MikeBranon.
Mhm.
Very strange spelling, but that's what I was given.
It works.
MikeBranon.com. You can also find me on Amazon, and there's. It's funny. I'm not really out there pushing the books too much. I have never really worked that hard at that. I figured that it just happens, and it has, and it's been wonderful and fulfilling. So if you want to find me, you can find me. And I hope you enjoy the books and the spirit they were written in. The By the way, I wanted to mention too that in the second book, The Joy of Pickleball, there's also a video series included in the book. So
Awesome.
on the instruction part of it, some people are more visual learners. So after I write it, say I'll write a section about the volley, and then after that, I'll have a link to my website, and you can watch a quick 5-minute video that gives you the basics of that. So with a lot, I know other coaches that I've helped get into the business who they use my book as a textbook for their students. So they have that video reference as well. So I
Wow.
encourage anyone who wants to learn more about the game to enjoy that book. But if not, I just hope you enjoy life and enjoy your game, no matter where you are and how you play.
That is
Oh,
so
thanks.
lovely. Yeah, you're already a bestseller. But we're just delighted that you chatted with us, and our audience gets more exposure to what you do and who you are and how you've shared yourself with us in these books. Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much.
It's been a real
Yes, thank
pleasure, and
you.
keep doing your good work.
You
Thank
too.
you.
You
Yes,
Okay.
thank
too. And
you.
thank you all. Oh my gosh. Yeah, go get those books, especially if you're a senior. Come on, let's stay healthy, happy, and play forever.
Yep.
And thanks all. We'll look forward to a new conversation next week. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. If you love our podcast, we'd be so grateful if you'd take a few seconds to follow or subscribe to Life Lessons from Pickleball. This ensures you'll never miss an episode and helps us continue these wonderful conversations.
On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, go to the show page and tap the follow button in the top right corner. And on YouTube, click the subscribe button under any of the episodes.
Thanks so much. Hope to see you on the court.